Does Faraday Future have a future left, or is the end near with a delisting? Well, let's look at the charts and find out. How is it going, everyone? Yas here from Trading Vanguard. I am a technical trader who trades short squeeze, momentum and volatile stocks. All of the information shown in this video is not financial advice and just my opinion. So, welcome back to my channel, everyone. Today we'll be looking again at Faraday Future, ticker FFAI, and yeah, it's getting quite interesting for the stock. So when I made my first video on Faraday Future, the stock was above $1 and now it's dropped over 40%, and of course we want to know why. So let's switch on the charts and let's see what's going on for Faraday Future. Okay, so I mentioned in my last video that the stock was in this descending trend channel. So let me quickly zoom out and paint you guys the overall picture for the stock. So it's in this descending trend channel, and in my opinion, it had seemed to me that the stock had come down to this, what I've highlighted in the screen area is the bullish liquidity zone, which sits between around, I want to say 80 cents to around $1.05, let's say maximum $1.10. So we can see that in the past, this is where the stock has come down, even if it's within a few cents, and then of course absolutely catapulted. It's done that once, it's done that twice, but this time has not happened. So in my opinion, I believe the stronger trading pattern is not so much the bullish liquidity zone, even though it is still a good area for the stock to respond. It is unfortunately this descending trend channel. Why do I think this area is still, quite significant? Well, we can see the second that the stock came down into this area, it attempted the first breakout. Okay, so in my opinion, came down to the bullish liquidity zone, attempted a breakout once, got rejected by the first resistance waiting at $1.31. And then what happened straight after that? Came back down into the bullish liquidity zone, attempted a second breakout, and then boom, got rejected a second time, which in my opinion is the beginning of the end, or the beginning of the bottom, in my opinion. And since then, since its second rejection at the strong resistance, the price action has just been getting bullied and, getting rejected left, right, center, being controlled by the EMA lines that are waiting here. And now unfortunately, if we look at the stock itself, the bottom of the trend channel is now coming up. And in my opinion, okay, not financial advice, in my opinion, this is where the final level for us to see a technical reaction waits. And in my opinion, that will sit at around, from today's price action, around 52 cents. So I would probably say in the region of 50 cents up until about 55 cents. For me, this is kind of where the final level where the bulls should be stepping in before we see a technical reaction. So how far could the squeeze go? So again, I'm still keeping my previous price targets. However, if anything, we've got another one open up. So open gaps, open gaps, open gaps. So we can see a lovely open gap waiting at $1.22. Now, just from the bottom of the trend channel, we can see that would be a price, total profit of around, just over 130%. So not too bad. Now, in my opinion, should the stock come up to close this, then I have no doubts the stock will also come up to test the first resistance level. Okay, so price target number one will be $1.22. Price target number two will be $1.31. Should the stock break down, of course, we would want to see volume. Then the second price resistance waits just above it at $1.60. Now, after that, guys, this is technically possible. Okay, definitely technically possible. The stock, believe it or not, could still come up to the top of the trend channel. And for me, that will sit at around, I want to say a maximum of around $4 for the stock. However, there is this, what I've identified in red, just as there is a bullish liquidity zone, there is also a bearish liquidity zone. So of course, the top is probably the maximum price target for now. However, the second the stock comes into this red area, this is where the bulls load up. This is where the bears load up and get ready to slam the price down. And we can see that when the stock broke out last, came in, couldn't touch the top of the trend channel, got rejected, and was supported by the third EMA line, tried to come up again, but as soon as it got into this area, again, the bears slammed the price back down. Could the stock break further than the $4 and the top of the trend channel? Yes, it could. However, I'm not going to cross that bridge until we get there. For me right now as a technical trader, I trade probabilities, not possibilities. Okay, so is it possible that the stock could break much further than the $4? Yeah, of course. This is a stock market, anything is possible. And I mean, for people that have traded the stock before, we can see the potential it has. It honestly came down to I think it was just below 3 cents, and it squeezed to God knows how much. So that was a few years ago. So the stock definitely has squeeze potential. However, the bulls definitely need to step in. Okay, so that's the positive side of the story so far. Now let's talk about, of course, the downside potential. Guys, in my opinion, like I said, the bottom is waiting at around 50 to around 55 cents. This is where, in my opinion, the bulls have to step in for the stock to have any chance of a future squeeze. If they don't, then in my opinion, it looks very, very ugly for Faraday future. And the stock will be, look, the stock is already in a dangerous position being sub $1. So look, me as a technical trader, I'm already uncomfortable with the area that it sits in. Of course, being extremely, extremely unpredictable and volatile. However, like I said, should we not find any support here and just break further, you can already see that, every single day that passes, new all-time lows are being hit. So the more it comes down, the more all-time lows are hit. And then, in my opinion, I don't see the company delisting anytime soon. Clearly, they are in terms of actual fundamentals, not that I trade it, they do a lot in terms of tech-wise. However, expect, a reverse stock split to come soon afterwards. Should it stay under $1 for a while, which, of course, once that would happen, then they would dilute the stock again, of course, not helping existing shareholders. So that was my update on Faraday future, guys. If you guys found this video useful, please drop me a like. And if you guys are a similar trader to myself, please consider subscribing, as I'll be posting similar content. Once again, I would like to end the video by saying this content is not financial advice. Trading can be extremely risky, and you should always have a trading strategy to stay safe. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.